Um, okay, I just saw that it is live, so I'm going to do that again. Hello again, everybody. My name is Victoria Arinze. Welcome. And if you're here, you know why we are here, right? We're here to have very interesting conversations around setting up your end of the year campaign and ensuring that everything is, fine and goes well along with the company objectives and all that. So I have Ebuka here. I also have Timothy. I'm going to be introducing them very soon. Um, but feel free to use the chat. Feel free to drop comments where when it comes up. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat, and we'll definitely touch on that before the end of today's session. Okay, so I think as opposed to introducing them, I'll let them introduce themselves, but let's just give a little background of myself, I guess. My name is Victoria. Like I said earlier, I work as a product marketing manager at Credit Direct. I've been around agency, client side, and all that good stuff. Been doing some work here and there, and I'm very, very happy to be here today. So I don't know who wants to go first. I think Timothy, I nominate Timothy to go first, if that is fine. So Timothy, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Timothy, you're muted.
Oh, okay. You couldn't hear me. Okay, right. So my
Yeah.
name is Timothy Ukaegbu. I'm part of the performance marketing team at Moniepoint. So basically responsible for every of the numbers that Moniepoint has to do, when it comes to conversions, when it comes to account opening and all of that stuff. That's what I do. Previously, if I was at Money Point, I was at Dynamo, where I was overseeing clients in the financial services and telco. So worked with almost 90% of all financial services firm, in ensuring that their campaigns go as planned, and then also telcos as well. And so, yeah, basically, I just have a knack for numbers and also creativity as well, because there's absolutely no way you can have real performance without having to be creative as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's it about me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Timothy. Thank you. Nice to meet you once again. Ebuka, you have the floor.
Hi guys, just to confirm that everyone can hear me very well.
Loud and clear.
So I'm Ebuka. I would say though before I go ahead that Timothy is like my boss, low key. He will never accept it, but I'm putting it again in the public that yeah, my guy. Anyway, we're moving forward. All right. So my name is Ebuka Chidube, digital market professional for a while now. I think particularly started in digital marketing. I was social media manager for like an extensive period before I transitioned into growth and digital marketing. So I've worked with really interesting brands over that time. Some of your faves. What I do right now is I drive digital marketing for Piggyvest. I'm in charge of ensuring that there's acquisition, people are using the products, people are putting their money in the app, right? So that's pretty much what I do. On the side, I run an agency that helps small business owners to make profits from their online marketing efforts, and also create marketing content as well. So yeah, that's about it from me.
Right. Thank you so much. And yes, I can. I'm part of people that have watched your content, so I agree. I agree that you create marketing content. Okay, so that's just on the lighter note. Thank you so much once again for being here. For people who are just joining, let me just give a little context. Like we know why we're here, setting up your end of the year campaigns for success, and Timothy and Ibuka have introduced themselves, and you just know that the conversation is about to get very sweet and very insightful, most especially. The idea here is that we are supposed to have conversations that will provide insight, and strategies that you can use to just optimize your end of the year campaigns. We'll focus on, things that we've done in the past and emphasize things that you should also look out for, best practices to implement, and every other thing in between, right? That will just help you scale your efforts to achieve better outcomes at the end of the day. So we are about almost 5 minutes in, yapping, yapping, yapping. So we'll just get right into it right now. So okay, so my first question is actually for Timothy, and this is just like before we go into like the really deep stuff, let's talk about some foundational basics, right? If we put it like that. So just across all the industries, and I'm trying to think of something here that works across board, irrespective of the industry or stage of the company, or all of those things in between. What are some of those things that what are some foundational things that you typically consider when you want to set up any campaign at all? Like things that and when I say foundational, I'm trying to think of how do you ensure that whatever campaign you are doing actually aligns with the business goals and objectives at that point in time.
Yes.
Did you get
So foundational. Yeah, I got your question. Thank you, Victoria. So foundational is setting up SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable. I've forgotten what the R is, but yeah, the T is for having goals that actually meet a particular timeline. So I remember for years when I was, representing Meta in market in West Africa, it was all about setting smart goals. That should be the first thing any marketer should have in mind whenever they are starting out any kind of campaign. You want to ensure that you have the budget for the campaign. You want to ensure that you have the exact goal you want to meet for the campaign. If it's going to be awareness campaign, or if it's going to be like a consideration campaign, or if it's going to be like user acquisition campaign or a traffic campaign, anything you want to do, just ensure that you have that goal in mind. The reason why you should have goals in mind is so that you don't get disappointed when you see the results and then you're like, this is not what I hoped for, or this is not what I expected, and all of that. I remember when I was at Dynamo, I had the opportunity of meeting a lot of performance marketers, across the industry, and it was just there was a lot of confusion as regarding if people were not meeting their goals, some marketers were not meeting their goals, just to find out that they just had their goals, they had wrong goals actually, or they didn't have like specific goals, or they didn't have goals that are measurable and all of that. You meet a client, and then the client to tell you that, oh, they want to reach everyone in Nigeria, but they don't have the right budget for it. So setting expectations when it comes to goals, when it comes to budget, when it comes to timelines, when it comes to if we have the capacity to even achieve this, even, and that would even include having the what do you call it now, the human resource to achieve such goals. So those are actually the foundations for marketers.
Yeah, that's very valid. I believe the R stands for realistic, if I'm correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it just sums up everything you said, which is that irrespective of what your goal, it has to just make sense. Like it has to be something that is attainable at the end of the day, right? And I think end of the year
Yeah.
or not, it cuts across everything. And yeah, thank you so much. That's very insightful. My next question is for Ebuka. So now let's take it away from just general campaigns and stuff. Let's drill down to like end of the year campaigns specifically now, right? What are some principles, I guess, that you always prioritize? Maybe not principles, just anything, any guiding light, right? That you use to define what should make up like an end of the year type campaign.
Cool. So first, I will start with not every business should jump on Black Friday or discounts, right? Some of
Mm,
the things that I see when it's about the year's about to run like, to an end I don't know if anybody. I hope you guys can hear me very well because I'm in transit
yeah,
and I'm trying to
loud and
still
clear. You
communicate.
can.
Yeah, yeah. So when it's coming towards November, December, you start hearing, we need to do a Black Friday, we need to do a discounts, we need to give something off, right? Just to, I don't know, maybe get more users or business and then close out for the year. I would say though that it's not important that every business must jump on Black Friday, right? So that's on one hand. If at the end of the day you still want to do a discount offer for the end of the year, it has to be really, really compelling, right? And I'm happy that a lot of people right now are not really doing discounts because look, you have to think about your business. What is your unit economic? Unit economics, right? What is your EBITDA? Are you making enough money to be able to give off uh, certain aspects of your business to your customers for free? Now, that's on the other hand. So if you are at the point where you know that your business cannot afford to do it, think about how else you can close out the year strong. I'll give an insight because again, I'll allow Timothy to handle like the big businesses. I'm trying to strike a balance between people that work in big tech or big corporations and people that work in like startups, right? So that there's a balance because if both of us are coming to talk about numbers, both of us work in companies that give us huge budgets to run marketing with, right? So which is not realistic. Remember, Timothy was talking about smart goals, right? So if we come here and we share our direct experience, it's not going to be realistic for most people because again, the economy and also how much it's costing people to run their businesses. So I'm fortunate to work with all walks of people, right? From churches to people that don't have finances and everything. So I'll try to make it my at least most of the things I'll be saying will be more relatable to people that are that side and work with people that don't have enough marketing funds to push stuff. Something that I've seen, right, from people that sell products, right, about that's insight that I got after a survey was that Nigeria, if you're selling the Nigerian market, right, if you can take away deliveries, you have a stronger offer than somebody that has one. It was so fun. In fact, it was weird. When I found it, was really weird. Nigerians don't like to pay for deliveries, right? So if you are crafting an end of the year campaign as a small business, you must not do discount. The best you can do is say, okay, you buy, we'll bring it to you for free. And I've seen this work immersively in this particular period, right? Timothy was saying something about smart and everything, and that's again is really important concept. But I've also found that people don't always follow it, right? They know it in nomenclature. They know that okay, specific, measurable, attainable, all of that. But when it comes to the execution, they don't use these goals, right? When it comes to like setting up these campaigns. One thing that I would say, right, again, I'm trying to see how I can strike the balance between people that are in the medium to small business, where I think if we can go on with bigger budget people. I found that most business owners that are very small or trying to like run startups do not understand the importance of data, right? So if you do not have a lot of money to run marketing with, this particular period, you have to be very obsessed with your data, right? You run your business from January till November or October, as the case may be, right? It's okay for you to close for the year. I promise you. If your data is showing from past times that now is not when you usually get business. Also, it depends on the kind of business that you're running. I'll give you example. I like to give examples and tell stories a lot. It's very important that you do not run certain kind of marketing campaigns. Now, I'll give an example. You work in an edutech company, right? December is not when somebody wants to come and start learning a new tech skill. So if you decide to say you want to run an end of the year campaign to sell a tech product that will push to your education, you're going to waste your money because people want to enjoy. 30 December is not now that you want to learn how to do cybersecurity. You had the entire year to do that, right? So you have to think about where you are as a business and ensure that the season tallies with what you are trying to sell. Again, it's okay for you to wait it out until the next year. Right. In fact, I learned about there's something called the usual year calendar is Q1 to Q4. But
Mm-hmm.
I learned about something that was really insightful, which is something called Q5. Now, Q5 is from 27th of December to the first 2 weeks in January. Now, why is it Q5? At that particular point in time, most people stop running their campaigns, they close for the year. So that opens up the market for you to enter and do some stuff with your business. Now, I'll give some insight on the kind of business period, right? So why is it Q5? The reason why most people's costs for advertising have gone up is because there's a lot of competition, right? Marketing is like, sorry, advertising is like, because that's pretty much where I play. I play in performance, so I mostly run advertisement for like people that I work with, right? So the reason why you see something called CPM, I'm trying to make it as simple for people that are beginner marketers and people that are quite advanced as well, so that again the balance
Yeah.
is struck. So CPM is how much it's costing you to reach 1,000 people, right? So it can go as high as it can go really high depending on how much people are bidding on that particular industry. So from this particular period, ads are going to get really expensive, right? So use Q4. The things are going to get. In fact, if you've not noticed it now, maybe you're lucky, but everybody that runs ads actively would see that everything has gone up in terms of cost per results, cost per action as well, right? So, if again you can wait it out, please let your boss understand that it's okay for me to wait, right? Q5, nobody's running your marketing. You see a lot more cheaper cost per result. You see a lot more cheaper CPMs because no people who have reduced their marketing. The year has ended, right? So I said before that I was going to talk about the kind of businesses that can leverage Q5. Number one, if you have something that is transformational, right, it's very good for this period because people will start to think about how can I change my life in Q5. Everybody always has New Year resolutions, but they don't follow them, right? So how can I change my life? For instance, you're a fitness business, you're selling a weight loss product, you're selling something that people will tend to I must have my summer body. You know, Q5 towards it. So again, It's still the end of the year, but it's not completely end of the year. End of the year slash first, second week in January, right? So fitness products, I don't understand my market. If you want to also save, we also have saving challenges for piggy banks if you want to, but yeah. So if you are in a transformational kind of business that help people to like create goals for themselves in the new year, Q5 is going to be amazing for you because you start running it from that particular point in time. There's lesser competition, so it has to be cheaper. People have more eyeballs because they're away from work, so their devices more, so they can see your ad. So I'm trying to see how I can jam everything into one so that it makes more sense. But yeah, that's about it from me.
Okay, that was a lot. I mean, I learned something. I've never heard of Q5 before. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have learned to pick that up, and that's very valid. I mean, you made a valid point, which is that you've had so much traction throughout the year from Q1 to Q4. So why would you assume that everything you've done up until that time is invalid, right? Just like measuring what has happened, trying to see what are some things, and just, I guess, making sense of it during that time. And I think another important point you raised, which is that at that time a lot of people are looking for stuff, a lot of people are trying to be heard and seen. So it only makes sense. It's just like when there's a lot of competition, things become more expensive, supply and demand type. That's very, very valid. Thank you for sharing that. I hope the transformational businesses are able to jump on that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I have one question here that is that feels like if you answer it, it would sound like you are applying for a job and you're in an interview. But hey, who is holding us? So, that question is okay. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, the question is, can you share an example? Like, give us an example of a successful end of the year campaign you've managed and what made it stand out, right? So I'm trying to get a sense of from start to finish. I guess what informed it, what then happened, how it was executed, and what success meant at that point in time. Uh, I want to ask a few of you. I don't know if anybody wants to go first. Um, Timothy, does anybody want to go first? I need to hear from some
Sorry,
of
I
you.
don't know if it's just me, but there's like a noise in your background. I'm struggling to hear the question as much as I'd love to. I don't know if
Ah,
that would be. Yes, I didn't hear your question.
yeah. Can you hear that noise now? Just to
No, no, no.
confirm.
I can no longer hear it anymore.
Okay, so I think it was in Timothy's background, not mine. I think. I'm not sure. I think so. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me take my question again, right? I said I want both of you to give me an example of like an end of the year campaign you've managed sometime, whether recent or in the past. I'm trying to get a sense of what informed it in the first place, what actually, like, what was the campaign in itself, how was it executed and stuff like that, and what are some of the learnings and successes that came out of such campaign. I think Tim can go first, and then Ebuka, you go next, if that's fine.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is it fine?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, cool. So I hope the background noise is not too much.
No, it's even gone now.
All right, great. So on my end, I really can't pinpoint a lot of end of the year campaigns, and the reason is because most of the brands I've managed in recent times have actually just have this always on campaign since I've been doing like strictly performance for quite a while. So performance marketing campaigns never go off. Instead, what they do is that they create a new twist to it. But I mean, I think I managed a campaign sometime in 2022, for the shop B code. I think the guys who own the Adidas outlets in Nigeria, Adidas, Reebok, and yeah, and Slick and Skechers. Yeah, I managed a campaign sometime in 2022, and it was not really like a Christmas campaign, but it was more of a Black Friday campaign, and it was great. We also had an end of the year campaign as well, but it was great. Traction was actually very high, and that was because we actually did not target. the peak periods. We let Christmas wind down and we started targeting people after Christmas. So everybody, was already done with high CPMs, as Ibuka mentioned, and high CPCs, during Christmas. But at the end of the year, when it was like somewhere around 27, 28, and 29th, we started to have our campaigns, started targeting January and all of that, started preparing. So one thing I realized is that as a marketer, you need to have like your calendar. You need to be forward looking as a marketer. You need to have like your calendar looking forward to the next season, looking for loopholes in those calendars where you can actually exploit. And so it's basically one thing that also stands out in marketing, because a lot of things have been automated on most of these platforms. So
Right.
one thing that stands out is actually your offer. So we had like great offers, for that product, for those products. That's the Skechers, for the Reebok, and for the Adidas. We had like great offers that could not be resisted. And also, we did a reverse marketing at some point. Maybe this does not even pertain to end of the year, but it pertains to maybe different seasons and all of that. So where we target male and then we tell them to buy for their girlfriends or for their wives, and then we target females and tell them to buy for their boyfriends or for their husbands. So those things were, yeah, those reverse messaging would always come into play, because at those times you find that people also want to gift people at those times. So we also employed that, and that really brought us great numbers as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. I want to ask a follow-up question, if you don't mind. And
Sure,
hopefully
sure, go
you're
ahead.
able to share. Yeah, I mean, you made a valid point, which is a lot of, especially with regards to like performance marketing, a lot of those things that would typically give you the advantage have now been automated, right? So I think, like you said, the offer is most times what makes it stand out. And I guess your creative, which is what you are using to communicate your offer in that.
Yes.
So I want us to dive a little bit deeper into the offer in itself. So what are some of those offers? I know you talked about the reverse marketing, but if you were to speak on anything in particular or things, right? What are some of those that somebody else can also maybe pick up and try to replicate or do, something of the sort?
Sorry, you might have to come again with the last line of your question. I think I'm missing it.
Okay. So I said that I mean you when you were speaking, you explained that the major thing that made it stand out was that you had a good offer, right? The business
Yeah,
and stuff, it had something that people wanted, and that is a very key thing, because I think a lot of people always think the beauty is in the promotions and all of that, but that's just amplifying something that is already good. So if it's not good in itself, you're just amplifying nonsense, right? So
yeah,
now I'm
yes.
pause on the offer. So you mentioned that there were a couple of offers that you had that were good. So what are some of those that maybe another e-commerce brand can try to replicate? Anybody who's watching this, if you are able to share at least.
Okay, so it's like we already established that a lot of platforms has been automated with the use of AI nowadays. I mean, you can find AI in Google. I attended the Google event sometime this year, and excuse me, and it was all about their AI tool. Meta too is all about their AI tool. So you need to get creative as a marketer. So performance now goes beyond, okay, how am I able to be like a nerd on the dashboard, to how I can be creative with different things, creative with my messaging, creative with my creative with my offer. So offers, I've always said it that as a business, you don't have to give an offer if you don't have the bandwidth to sustain it. Like Ebuka already mentioned, that not everyone needs to do like a Black Friday, right? But if you know that you have the bandwidth to sustain it, you can have it. But if you don't, then you need to get creative with your creative. Now, your creatives need to get to the point where they are speaking to the customers directly. Now, we know that we live in an almost automated world where Meta's targeting is already automated. Google's targeting is already automated. People will say that you speak about something and you already find it. You speak about something that you already find it on Instagram. You speak about something you already find it on Google. So and all of that. So
Mhm.
how do you get creative with your messaging? How do you ensure that when you're speaking, your messaging is like an email, it's like an SMS, it's speaking to the person directly. They feel like they already need that product or they already need that service. Sometimes people advertise and they put out their messaging in form of as though it's out of home. Even out of home is even trying to be more creative to talk to you directly. Now you find a lot of people who are doing digital try to sound more like out of home, doing as if they are talking to the mass market. Let's not forget that a lot of digital is somewhere below the line, and below the line is you're speaking to customers directly. When you're speaking to
Yeah.
customers directly, customers are viewing you on their phones. They are not viewing you like in the mass media. So you need to ensure that if you are ultra targeted, your messaging also needs to be ultra targeted. You don't have to. You already know your demographic, and most of these platforms already know the kind of demographics you're targeting, the psychographics of people you're targeting. So ensure that your messaging is ultra targeted. Recently there's a new feature right now on some of these platforms where even when you send a message, when you have your message in other languages, they would actually target, they would actually carry the message and send it to people who speak those languages. I mean, they do some sort of like a randomized test, first of all, in the first few hours of that campaign. But after then, they carry those campaigns and then they relate it to people who already speak the language. So, for example, you have most of the people who your target audience are actually people who speak Yoruba and like they
Mhm.
understand Yoruba and they relate more in Yoruba. You don't have to have your campaigns in English for those people to be able to hear you out. You don't have to have your campaigns, let's say, in other language for them to hear you out. You can just have your campaigns written in Yoruba and then feed it to the platforms and then I am assuming your targeting is correct. The platforms are actually going to take it to those people. But you'll find out that maybe the other time I've seen that, I know that Nigerians don't really do that a lot. Maybe few companies do that a lot. But surprisingly, in the when we get to election periods, people use it a lot. Like you find different political parties use that a lot, and like the campaigns are always almost too targeted. So that's one way you can be creative. During end of the year when you don't have like great offers. Otherwise, like offers are like a great deal. Like if you're doing like a 10% off, or you're doing like a 50% off, or you're doing like a 90% off. But I mean, there's also this narrative of false advertising where a lot of a lot of people are cracking down. A lot of platforms are cracking down on it. Like you promise customers something, but then you're doing something. I mean, I would also hold Timo accountable for this because Timo say it'll be like 300% off, and then you go there and Timo does like a cat engineering, and then you find out that you don't get your 300% immediately. They break it down into you get 30,000 naira first and all of that. That's why my table cat is uncleared, by the way, because where's my 300%? Where's my 300K off? So those are the kind of the way. Those are the kind. Those are different ways which you can, which you can be creative in your marketing aside, the offer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. And I mean, one thing I've picked up is that it's not straightforward, right? You have to most times try out a couple of things based on your understanding of the people that you are serving. I mean, if you're doing an end of the year campaign, the idea is that you've been in business, hopefully, right, from January to November. So you have something that you should be able to say about the kind of people you serve and the people you want to serve. And there's also that narrative. There's something you said around you don't have to give an offer if you don't have the bandwidth for it. I think aside even Temu, there's been like a narrative in Nigeria very recently around Black Friday and how people hike up their prices and then do the Black Friday a week after they increase the prices. So it's very funny because I know there are people who genuinely do have offers like that.
Yeah.
you know,
I always advise that if you're gonna do something like a Black Friday or you have like a discount, like you have a worthy discount, I think you should have your Black Friday before the Black Friday. So have that season in September or in October where you're having the Black Friday before the Black Friday. Black Friday already, Ebuka already mentioned that CPMs are going to be very high. Towards the festive period, they're already going to be very high. There is this thing where a lot of FMCGs do is called reach and frequency ads where they already book down their CPMs or they already book down the audience they want to serve at that point in time. They book them down like since 3 months ago. So if you're coming right in December just to bid, you're going to get very high results. Those FMCGs are already going to get lower results because they already booked those people down. So if you're going to do anything before if you're going to do anything for Black Friday, just do it before Black Friday or do it in the Q5, from 27th of December to, the first 2 weeks of January. And if you're going to, as a business, you should also maybe try to make it some sort of like a culture. Already, if people know that you're going to have like discounts, like few days off, a few days, into a new month, let it be the culture so that you know that this period you're going to sell out already. I'm sure that you should have already done all of your maths, when it comes to your costing and your pricing, and then you know that in the first 3 days you should sell out. And the fear of missing out FOMO would always come into play. People do that a lot. I know that one company that actually employs it till today is it just does this regular 70% off. People already know ASOS for that kind of messaging or for that kind of discount, and you already go there and everybody wants to just fill their ASOS card. And there was a time I was working at the company, and everybody knows that towards this period ASOS is doing 70% off, and we are all ordering together and all of that. So it should be some sort of like your branding or some sort of like a culture where people already know that, okay, this period is the period for sales and all that. It's not like other people won't buy during those periods, but you know that this period you should be cashing out real time. So that's basically most of it.
Yeah, very, very valid point. I think the summary for me is just that marketing is not just about we have to be very creative with our creative. There's also a lot of science part of it that you have to consider just to ensure that you're getting the most out of whatever advertising budget that you have to work with. Okay, Timothy, thank you so much. Ebuka, so the question I had asked earlier was, can you give us an example of a successful end of year campaign that you've managed? Whether recently or in the past, just something that gives us an idea of what informed it, how it was executed, and what success meant at the time for that campaign. So if you're able to go now, then you have the floor.
Yeah, so I would give two, um,
Okay.
and I'll take it from an acquisition and a retention standpoint.
Okay.
I would say generally that discounts are a lazy way to do offers, right? A lot of people, when they think about marketing, the first thing that comes to their mind is discount, and I think that's very lazy, right? So I would give an example of a business. I think if you, I don't know if you would have watched my content here, but there was something that I mentioned about giving gift cards, but with a twist. So it was the period of giving, right? And so since you're actually talking about end of the year campaigns, and I thought about it and I was like, okay, I want to achieve two things, right? I want to acquire people. I want to generate actually three things. I want to acquire people. I want to generate goodwill um, from our customers, and I also want to retain people. Um, And so the way we were going to approach that was through gift cards, right? So this was for a service-based business. So if you have a product or service that people have to experience, maybe they have to buy it from you or pay an actual thing to get it, right? This is something that I think could work for you that I think you should consider. If it's probably very late now, but maybe in the future, or if you can still do it, cool. Um, so we identified all the people that were customers that were active, right? Can you guys still hear me? Please confirm.
Yes, Ebuka, we can clearly.
Yeah, yeah. So I identified all the people that were active customers, right? Instead call them users, and we reached out to them with a very specific messaging. We told them, "Hey, it's the period of gifting, the period of giving. We want you to take these gift cards and not use it for yourselves." Now, business owners, this is where the twist comes into play. Before now, you would use the gift cards on yourself, right? As a user, okay, I'm active, you're celebrating, I'm celebrating having been with this brand for so long. But we told them, take it and give it to somebody that needs it, right?
Mhm.
So, for instance, maybe you are a hairdresser, right? I don't spend any of the business so that just to protect the ND and all of that. You're a hairdresser that has people that always come to your salon to make their hair, and you take a gift card and give it to them and tell them, give somebody that needs it. Now, remember I said before that I wanted to acquire people. Now that will acquire a new user for us or
Mhm.
new customer. Second thing that I would do for us is to create goodwill. This is, and I'm just giving this as in retrospect of what actually happened. It was very successful. It was insanely successful. Now we told them, take this, give it to somebody, and so we've already ticked the acquisition box. We've also ticked the goodwill box because this is the period of giving. People sometimes don't know what to give people. Right now, I'm sure all of us have want to send a Christmas gift to a loved one, but I don't even know what to give them. But if you now find somebody that is also in your line that needs this particular service, you have to think
Mm-hmm.
about a qualified customer, not somebody that is just you go to use this for any. So this give us number one, good users, quality users, because obviously they were in the line of work that were able to experience what we are currently serving,
Mm-hmm.
and goodwill. Now, how did retention come into play? Which was the third thing I was trying to achieve. Now, those gift cards were not free. They were about 70 to 80% of the actual price. But once you've already experienced the brand, because again, I don't want to go through ethics of having a good business, good customer service, good operation, all of that, right? So we know over time that people have great experiences when they come to use our services, but we not just have enough awareness, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now somebody comes in on at the 80% discount, the person is already has goodwill because it was referred by a friend. And if you know people that are referred most of the time stick more with the brand or stick more with the product because it's coming highly recommended. So it ticked almost all the boxes that make sense for business. And these people came, they used the service, and the following month they came back. Why? Because they are now users, and we could follow up with them in marketing, reach out to them and everything. So now I gave a discount, but I didn't just say 100% or 90% off. So marketers, I feel like a lot of people that create offers that think about marketing, you have to be very, very creative in how you craft your offers because these are the things that we didn't run ads. We didn't run any, this said a single penny on ads. It was a completely engagement and retention. It was a complete rather engagement and retention strategy that blew away. In fact, you were really shocked with these numbers because those people that now came in also were not asking for their own gift cards because so I got gift card. I also give somebody. So
Nice.
this created something called a network effect, such that word of mouth was now, So I believe that again, that's a very successful end of the year campaign that I think I've run before in the past. Another one that I want to highlight as well. Timothy said something about front loading your Black Friday campaign. If you are starting your Black Friday campaign preparation from November, yeah, I'm sorry, you are very late. Yeah, you are extremely late. From the beginning of the year, you will know if you are doing Black Friday or not, and you work towards it, right?
Mm-hmm.
By setting aside budget because you are going to the company. So the only time Black Friday makes sense, I'm not saying you don't do it. As remember I said before, not every business should do it, but if you're going to do it, you must ensure that you have enough volumes
Mm-hmm.
to offshoot the cost that the business is going to be making on these things. Because if you are doing this, always paying for those discounts, you still the business.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to shock your accountant, your accountant. Let him not change it for you or she change it for you because what's happening here? Because Nigerians like free things. That's something that we must always know. The moment it's
Mm-hmm.
happening there, everybody's going there, they're rushing. That's why giveaway is still going to be a proven concept till tomorrow. If you do giveaway, you get 100K followers. You are a poor country.
Right.
You are a very poor, it's true, you are a very poor country. So you want to be able to front load your planning such that when it's not time for Black Friday, you know that already be accounted for the
Mm-hmm.
costs during the course of the year. So
Mm-hmm.
how you can do that is we use the wait list kind of system
Okay.
where it could only be the launch was so very crazy, fear of missing out. Launch plan, you already know counting down, every single thing was already planned. So with this system, so people were literally anticipating. In fact, on the 12 a.m., people were already texting us, Alpha, it's today now. You see, so you want to be able to carry people along your Black Friday planning and journeys. People need to be able to be a part of it because, again, it's, I'm sorry, I see a lot of boring. I can't remember the last time I saw really, really exciting marketing from other people because people just copy and paste, right? So you have to think, what is obtainable in my market? What's obtainable in my business? What can, what kind of experiences do I want to create for my users that would people always talk about? You see, so your Black Friday campaigns, we did one such that we waited. In fact, the waiting started from August, from summer. So as I'm going for summer, I'm thinking about the end of the year that I might have to buy something, so I cannot blow my money on trips. So we did a waitlist system. They paid a particular percentage to ensure that they were locked in. Because the mistake I see a lot of people making with waitlist is that they just upload the list and people just put their number. When you come and ask them for money, they will slide. They will tell you they're not there. They forgot. They don't remember putting their name anywhere.
Or they've spent the money.
Or they spend the money. So if somebody has committed a particular amount of money to it, you can be as low as 3K, 4K. Doesn't have to be the
Mhm.
entire thing. So you are showing a lot of interest because that's something I always like to say. Somebody can be really, really interested in something and not want to drop money for it. Case in point, ChatGPT. And people here are paying for pro. No, don't hide your face. Don't worry. I understand. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So
Okay.
you can really, really love something so much and not be willing to pay. So you have to be able to optimize for payments first. In fact, I'm hoping I'm talking to marketers here. You must always chase the money.
Mhm.
Once you got someone to commit, then when you come back for the remaining, it will not seem as if it's too much for them because they already have money there. And
Right.
what will you lose if they say they're not buying again? You kept their funds,
Mhm.
right? So these are the two campaigns that I think I remember doing the end of the year that really, really did well for me from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So many gems, and I see so much similarity also, even with what Timothy explained earlier. A lot of it is just planning, right? Because some of these things you cannot just do them off the whim. It's like you must have thought about them even before this period, and I think that's one mistake that maybe not most people, to the best of my knowledge, because if you check through the year, there's almost like so much going on at every point in time. So before you know it, it's February. Before you know it, we are doing International Women's Day. Before you know it, we are doing Easter. Before you know it, we are doing something else, and then it's Black Friday, and it just feels like the same thing over and over again. But I think even when you were speaking, something that came to mind was that just having like a year. I know we always do yearly planning, but it's always very top level, right? We don't really, from a marketing perspective, at least personally, we don't drill down into quarters, into months, and really define. We know that there's Black Friday, we know there's December, but have you defined what the strategy is at that point in time? No. But this was very, very, very helpful. You said discounts are a lazy way to do marketing. You threw shots, a lot of shots. A lot of people may come for you. I may not be able to help you, unfortunately, but the Lord is your strength. um, okay, so moving forward, I don't know if Timothy is here, but I think so. I can't see him, but okay, let's just go ahead. Uh, just to confirm, Timothy, are you here and can you hear me? Just to confirm.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good, good, good. All right, thank you. I was just doing a little roll call. Okay, so my follow-up question for Ebuka,
Oh,
yeah, my follow-up question for Ebuka, let's talk about storytelling a bit, and maybe not necessarily restricted to Black Friday now, right? So end of the year also exceeds even to Christmas and stuff. So what's there are two sides to this. You can look at it from the angle of maybe something cool we've seen, something very creative we've seen in the past or recently, and it can also be something you've driven personally. But I'm trying to get a sense of what role storytelling plays in campaigns, especially for this time of the year, and some of the things you've seen that resonates with you as a marketer in recent times.
Okay, so if you are a marketing person and are not utilizing stories in your business, I'm sorry, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Gone are the days when you just use Canva to create graphics and put it and say it's ads and marketing. If you are still doing that right now, it's not working. You don't have your reason. You see, we are in a world where people stories are what is stories are what is driving us as a people, right? So your customers, right, became your customers because of the stories that you told one way or the other. Either you told the story or someone told the story for you, right? So
Mhm.
if you are as a marketing person not finding ways to utilize storytelling, you are leaving a lot of money again on the table. So um it doesn't necessarily mean that you might not have like really, really rapid fire marketing ideas that you want to test because truth of the matter remains that if you want to create something that utilizes storytelling, it takes time, right? It takes time to build out the concept, takes time to shoot, to edit, to ensure that everything is, bite-sized enough for marketing, right? So
Mhm.
I'm not going to displace the part, the the part of other kind of creative assets for marketing. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen most of the time that when you're able to tell a story, right, that resonates, you do less selling,
Mm.
right? So it's when somebody understand, if someone will come and start asking you, how much is this thing? Nobody will ask you how much if they relate with your story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because Nigerians, they don't read. If you write a long caption, yeah, it's just for yourself. It's to make yourself happy. They're not going to read that thing, right? So the elements of a good story is like a movie, right? I like to approach it from a movie perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you turn on it, I know most of us here use Netflix. From the cover photo, right? You can kind of get that this movie will be sweet. There are a lot of times that the cover photo will deceive you. Maybe you can give one bad ass graphics designer, they will give you one bad graphics, and you see what kind of nonsense film is this. But there are times where, for the most part, for most of us here, the cover photo of a movie is what drives us to try it out. Right? So that's an outlook alone that you should also think about. Now, I'm going to, again, I like to tell stories. So, and I used to like, so now I'm going to see using Netflix analogy. You click on that movie, right? And the first 10 seconds, you don't understand what is happening. There's a very high chance that you will churn. Same thing happens with your content. Your hooks, you cannot play with them. In fact, people underestimate hooks when it comes to creative storytelling that you tell with their ads.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Beast and Alex Omozi, these are two people that I really respect in the content world because that two of them face different demographic, but they really, really done well with their content.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not following Alex Omozi and a business person, I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's very good.
Wow,
Now,
continue to mention.
Alex Omozi, Alex Omozi has really, really, really insightful ways in which he creates his content. He tests about 15 hooks on every single ad. It's intense, but obviously, people do millions monthly on
Mm.
advertising. So that shows you that attention, because most people right now have the attention span of a goldfish. If you don't get them for like 5, 10 seconds, they're done, right? So remember back to Netflix explanation, right? You start a Netflix movie, 10, 15, okay, because it's a movie, you try to, maybe you're using your phone or you're eating. Because me, I like to watch film when I'm eating, right? You might not really, really be hooked until maybe after like the first 10 minutes to 15 minutes. If the thing is not making sense, you're moving, right? So same thing with your stories. You have to be able to, again, if a lot of people don't understand target audience personalization when it comes to marketing. You create marketing content for everybody, and that does not work. Payday is an instance. Payday used one thing that made Payday stand out was the fact that they created something called use case marketing, such that that one card, somebody looking for Spotify solution, somebody looking for Apple Music solution, somebody looking to run Facebook ads, somebody looking to buy stuff from eBay and shop and other stores, and that one card could do all of these things. Payday took that one card and told stories across all of these use cases. So if I'm not interested in Spotify, I'll try to use Apple Music, right? So you need to
Yeah.
be able to understand you drill down your target audience such that you're able to understand what makes them tick, what they really
Yeah.
want, and then you tell
Mm-hmm.
stories from that. Now back to Netflix. You've gone through the good cover photo, great hook. Maybe in the beginning, you're already doing fighting, bombs, explosions everywhere. People are trying to want what is this mad plot going on. The middle of the content itself is very important. Why? Because somebody watches the first 15 seconds and it gets to the middle and the entire plot is gone,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to also churn. Same thing with your content, right? So you've gotten them, you grab them with a good hook. The next thing you should think about is calling out their problems, right? Somebody should not watch your video and get to the point where they don't know it's for them. So remember, from the use case side of things, you're calling out their problem. This is the thing you're trying to, yeah, maybe. So there's this particular framework I use called PAS, right? So it's a copywriting technique I use also in my copies.
Right.
Problem, aggravation, and then solution. So you call out the problem, you aggravate it. So I'll give you an instance. Maybe you're trying to sell jam classes, right, to a student.
Mm-hmm.
You fail jam maybe like 3 times, right? That's the problem. Aggravation, all your mates have entered school. It might be a little bit rough, it might be a little bit aggressive, but it works. Now, I failed jam 3 times. Somebody is telling me that my mates have entered school. I've forgotten that I failed jam. It's the fact that my mates are ahead of me that's not the problem. So when they're using your services, right, that they're not thinking
Yeah.
about their passing jam. Their goal is for them to go and meet their mates in school. So
Mm-hmm.
problem, you aggravate it. You have to be very demure about it because you don't want to make somebody feel like you're insulting them, but just making them see how bad that problem is and why they need to like focus on the solution, which where your business plan comes into play. So back to the movie, great hook. The plot is really plotting, and then the ending is now what's happening here. Everything else scatters. I've seen really, really good movies that at the end, I could not tell what was happening. And I'm like, ah, what's going on here? Maybe there's part two. But there's most usually because there has to be part two because what is this? So the ending as well has to be very, very important, right? You've gotten somebody with a great hook, you've identified your target market, created content for them, you've identified the problem, you've aggravated it, you've told them a solution. What next? How can you make it easy for them to be acquired? Now you can have the best marketing, but if people are struggling to become a customer, right? That's the problem. So your landing page, if you use landing pages, what is going on there? Is it loading quickly? Is it congruent with the ad that they've seen, right? How can how can you make somebody pay easily? Because I've seen that most of the issues that I used to see in Paystack is pending payments. People have tried to pay, but it's hanging. So you have to find a way to ensure that payment is really seamless. And I believe that if you combine all these things together, you'll be able to create ads that resonate better and help you to make more conversions for your business.
Okay, thank you so much. Netflix scammed me recently also. I mean, in case they hire me in the future, let me not talk too much, but you get the point. If you see the banking, what you call it, the cover photo, I mean the thumbnail that they use, only for me to click, I'm like, what's going on here? 10 minutes. I'm wondering why am I still here? And of course, I eventually left it for them to watch by themselves because it can't be me that'll be watching that. But I mean, very very valid point. Especially because I think even for videos, especially a lot of people think of it very that whole framework you mentioned about the hook, the body, and just everything else, right? I think most people just create content like that. But I think when you're creating it for the purpose of advertising, even if you don't intend to promote it, even if it's just going to sit on your page organically or whatever, there still needs to be that thoughtfulness in it just to ensure that people actually want to click it and see what is there, right? And like you said, also ensuring that what follows next is enough to keep them wanting to see more and get all the way to the end. So very very valid points. Yes, and then the Mr. Beasts of the world are people who are doing crazy testing and stuff with 10 seconds, 5 seconds type thing. Not everybody can get there, but the baby step would be even thinking about it first, right? And being conscious of what is the first 3 seconds people see when they watch your content, or five, irrespective of the case. Okay, that's thank you for sharing that. Timothy. Okay, so now I want to ask from a place of optimizing, right? Or even just dealing with stuff that happened. So we know how this period is very short term. So there's like how sometimes you have campaigns that run all year round. Like Timothy already explained that some of the businesses he works with, they have stuff going around like every time of the year. So I mean, December is just another month in the year. But for people who have stuff that are very short term, let's say I have a campaign like a Black Friday that is like maybe 1 weekend or 2 weeks or whatever, and I can see that things are not going as planned. How do you manage, underperforming campaigns, considering the fact that there is a time crunch in the picture, right? How do you deal with stuff like that, whether from just general marketing or even like with a focus on like performance marketing and your campaigns that you have ongoing?
Okay, so there are basically two kinds of campaigns when it comes
Okay.
to performance. Or rather performance market, or rather generally, there are basically two kind of campaigns. I know that people have said there is above the line, there is below the line. So generally in digital, they will say that there is awareness, and then they say there's conversions. Some other people will say that there is brand awareness, and then they would say that there is direct response. So e-commerce people like to say that what they have is direct response marketing campaigns, and that's where I think that when you talk about product marketing, that's when product marketing people start their funnel. We know that digitally we have campaign funnel like awareness, consideration, and conversion. Then in product marketing, the top of the funnel starts with the conversion. So starts with the user acquisition, and then starts with then goes to activation, and then goes to retention and revenue, and the rest of it. So when it comes to tips for campaigns, since conversion have different levels, as we have seen, like in the pirate metrics, that's in the double A triple R, funnel.
Yeah.
campaign have different, yeah, it has different conversion levels. So when you see that your campaigns are not performing well at a particular conversion level, you can actually optimize for a lower conversion level. Say, for example, my campaign is not performing. My campaign ought to get people to visit the website, and when they visit the website, they need to add things to cart. So why don't you just run your campaigns? I know that all the most of the platforms that use that is basically performance oriented, like Meta and like Google, they have tools that can make you optimize for cart. Why don't you just run campaigns optimized to cart? They are called direct response marketing. It means that these platforms will take your campaigns to people who are ready to add things to cart. The truth is that platforms have studied everyone since your behavior over the years, and they know your purchasing power, they know what you are likely to do, and those are the kind of advertising they bring to you. So it's almost like they segment the audiences. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that, yeah, so if you're saying that, oh, we want our campaigns to just for people to just have traffic, that's fine. People will just have traffic. Or let's say, for example, if you have an app and you want people to just download the app, the platforms will take your campaigns to people who will just download the app. Now, the chances that those people that just download the app would even, eventually register on the app or would, carry out a transaction on the app is very low. They don't really care about that. They only care about the particular action that you optimize for. So when you find out that that is not your end action, you should probably try to get more people, towards your end action. So let's say you want people to make transactions, optimize for first transactions. When you optimize for first transactions, you're going to find more people. It might cost heavily initially, but in the long run, it's going to pay off. And also vice versa. Because there is no one way to these things. Platforms every day surprised us. I remember in 2017, Meta woke up and changed the algorithm. They changed the algorithm in such a way that we could not, organic posts stop getting the kind of reach they used to get. So platforms surprise us every single day. We are really, literally at their mercy. So when you find out that that is not working, or let's say when you started with optimizing for bottom of the funnel, that's not working, you can start by optimizing for top of the funnel. So it goes either ways. But one thing is that when you're carrying out performance marketing campaigns, you must always choose the funnel you want to start from. I know a lot of people don't do a lot of awareness these days. If you tell people like, oh, you need to start with awareness. I remember when that used to be a cliche in marketing. You say, oh, I need to start with marketing. If you want to start, you need to start with awareness. People are like, oh, I don't want to do awareness, especially small business owners say they don't want to do awareness. But the truth is that awareness is still very, very important. But I mean, people could use like video views or other kind of user engagement to generate awareness, and then probably not count on that to bring you conversion. And then also, like I said, since most of these platforms are already automated, messaging is very, very high. Messaging is very key to your success. You should test with as much messaging as possible, especially when you have a very short time frame. First of all, your messaging should be as direct as possible, speaking to your customers, telling them exactly what you want them to do, not forgetting your call to actions. And once you have done that, ensure that when you see that a particular messaging is not working, give it like 7 days. Unfortunately, that's the minimum time you can give it, 7 days. Or if it gives you like maybe like 100 results, you can probably give it like 3 days and then optimize from there. But check it once your campaigns are not working. Number
Mm-hmm.
one is to check. Number one is to check your messaging, and if that's not working, number two is to check your funnel. Maybe you should reverse your funnel. You should start from higher up the funnel, or you should go bottom of the funnel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank
Sorry,
you.
that there's something I think I also want to add as well, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Um, Again, I said something about data before. If
Mm-hmm.
you do not understand when a conversion has happened, you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
running blind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you must first of all understand, aside all the things that Timothy has said, which are very key.
Mm-hmm.
If your messaging is great, everything you give, but you don't understand when the conversion has happened in your business, all of the things that Timothy has said will not work for you. So I feel like that's like the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, you need to also understand, is this a marketing problem, product problem, operations problem, or sales problem? because you can be doing a very good job and somebody's botching it somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to understand. For instance, I always like example. In fact, God has blessed me with plenty of examples. I've seen shaggy in this life. I was generating leads for a real estate business, and it was strong leads. These people were in fact, I was like, what was happening here? This thing was not working. So I onboarded myself. I used the genre, I went to the onboarding myself and I became a, and I was watching. If you see the way these people were conversing with me, I said, how will he convert? If it were to be you, how will he convert?
Oh my God.
So you need to ensure that you're reviewing every step of the process outside of your purview. Now, it
Yeah.
might be difficult for you to see what's happening on the product side, but if you're a product manager, meet with these people, have conversations with them. What's happening when somebody has when somebody has installed the app? Where are the drop-offs? Where are the bottlenecks? How are you solving these bottlenecks? Because at the end of the day, they always blame marketing. But most times it might not even be our
True.
fault.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to be the person that doesn't know why something happened. As a marketer, you must be extremely curious. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that will help you stand out in the market. You must always ask why and find out that
Right.
why. So you're in the business, from your end, everything is great. Because at the end of the day, things might be great, but back end you might not understand. So you want to understand why that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
that when they come with the cutlass, your head will be safe. They are documenting, oh, this person this, you are taking screenshots, you are showing, for instance, another financial service that was into remittance. People were installing the app, but they were not using it for anything. And we realized that the onboarding process was too long. So as a marketer,
Mm.
that's not something you can control, but you can call it out.
Right.
Right. So again, you can have really good campaigns, you might do everything well, but if other aspects are not helping you to succeed, it will seem as if your
Yeah.
campaigns are not working.
Yeah.
So
True.
you have to
True.
ensure that it's not your fault.
True.
So
That's
that's just
very
what
correct.
I wanted to add that.
Yeah, yeah, that's very correct. That even brings me to the point of when you start, as a marketer, you should be curious, and then after then you should also go through the whole process yourself. You should be the first person testing your product yourself.
Yeah.
So when you find out that when you're checking your results, you see that people are stuck in a particular place in the funnel, and then you are like, oh, maybe these are not the right people, or maybe maybe they are not just working. Then you should question the product. The marketing got them in, but then they are stuck somewhere in the funnel. So maybe the product is having an issue that needs to be resolved or something. And that
Mm-hmm.
reason why there needs to be like a very close gap between product and marketing. There needs to be like this sync that happens between them, just so that we are constantly testing, we are constantly knowing what are people what are the issues that people are having, what are the issues the customers are having, because as Ebuka said, everybody's still going to come from marketing. If people don't move around the funnel, they'll say product has built products, but people are going to
Yeah.
come from marketing is in charge of customer acquisition, and right now with pirate metrics, marketing is in charge of revenue. So you're adding to the bottom line or you're out of the game. So it's very
Yeah.
important that you test the product as much as possible, and find out where your customers are stuck so that you can release them from the shackles of a bad product.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very valid point. I think the first thing you mentioned was that you need to be clear of you need to be clear about what exactly your objective is, right? And that's very important because how do you know if something is working if you're not even checking the right things, right? And a true story, what Ebuka mentioned about how the real estate company, it was funny how somewhere I started as a marketing person, and before you know it, I said, you know what, I'm going to jump on this sales team, we're going to do it together. You tell me why these leads are not converting, come and let me check all your scripts, let me. Before you knew it, my JD changed from marketing to sales and marketing. I say, ha, all right, if you want to spoil my business, but we shall continue. So I mean, there are tons of it's very easy to dunk on marketing, and this thing is a common thing everywhere, where
Yeah,
people just say, oh, is marketing. They are not doing whatever, 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 right? And even my role today, which is a product marketing manager, well, that's one of the reasons why I also made that slight change, because now I get to work more closely with the product team, right? And I get to understand exactly where I can figure out where there are blockers or where there are issues and possibly influence what changes come. But I think two things you guys mentioned, or something you both mentioned, was around just measuring and tracking stuff, right? And ensuring that you are measuring things end to end, not just from the acquisition perspective, but even trying to draw lines down to revenue and every other thing down the line. So I want to get a sense of tools here, right? But let's not focus solely on like digital products. There's also the other side of people who sell normal stuff, right? Like physical stuff and like the e-commerce and the like. So let's try to think of it from both ways, like just use cases. Yeah, so tools like measuring, how do we actually, if we're going to put this in real practical sense now, I have a product that has been built. My job here is to take it to market and to ensure that I acquire customers, but most importantly, they carry out a particular function in my product that means that they are active customers. How do I measure end to end? And what are some of the tools that you use today, your day to day at in your job? Timothy, you can go first.
Okay, so I really want to be as broad as possible, but the first
Okay.
thing you need as a performance marketer is your dashboards, whether it's Google, Facebook, if you're into Twitter, if you're into TikTok,
Mm,
Snapchat, all of those platforms, you need them. Those are primary tools. Then, because I work in tech, so the performance marketing is highly integrated into what they call an MMP. An MMP is like a mobile measurement partner. So yes, so there are different ones like Flyer, Singular, Adjust, and all of that stuff. So for a marketer, for a performance marketer, that is focused on results, that is focused on numbers, you need two things. You need your dashboard for your advertising side, or wherever you're carried out your marketing, you need that. Then you need your measurement tool, which is like your MMP or something like that. I know for e-commerce they did like a Google Analytics that probably has like that also keeps their data. I mean, for performance marketers too, that does like app stuff on tech side, they also did like Google Analytics and stuff, but it's mostly about the MMP. The MMP literally just shares the data, like this is what this platform brought, this is what this other platform brought, this is what this other platform brought. Because you have this issue consistently over the years, and it's not perfect anywhere. All these platforms make mistakes. So you have this issue where of attribution everywhere. So
right.
everybody is trying to claim, oh, I brought this number of customers, I brought this number of customers. You see Google inflating their figures, or most times cannibalizing, and then you find the Meta also inflating their figures as well. You find Snapchat doing the same thing and all of that. And then you have the MMP, who is like the referee that says like, okay, guys, I'll sort this out for you guys. So
Mm,
this is your install, or this number of users you acquired, this number of users you acquired, this number of users you acquired. So with that, you are able to see clearly to say you're able to see clearly and say that, okay, this is the platform that's performing the best. This is the platform that's giving me the best CPI. This is the platform giving me the best CPA and all of that stuff. So as a marketer, you need majorly your measuring tool, and of course your advertising platforms.
absolutely. Thank you. I like the analogy you use of the referee. That's very valid
Yeah,
because Facebook will always claim they did this, Google will claim they
of
did
course.
that, everybody's claiming
Yeah.
that,
Google
but
always cannibalizing on if you have like if you have your apps on App Store, and
mhm,
you're running Google ads, since they're already on App Store, people are going to probably search for your ads, but your Google ads get to come up, and people are going to click on the Google ads. So Google always cannibalizing and stuff like that. So Google always most times have like better results than most of these platforms, because they are
right.
cannibalizing. They own the App Store. I wish Facebook had an App Store. Maybe that's something they missed out on some time ago. So, but yeah, that's how it is. But they all steal, and it's the duty of the MMP to call out the thieves and give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
And be the referee. Love it. Thank you. Ebuka, how about you? I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if any additional tools come to mind,
Yeah,
maybe even with the outside the scope of like digital products, just
yeah.
generally.
Yeah, so I'd say, of course, the exact tools that Timothy uses are the same with mine because we both play in the same space.
Right.
But the ones that I would also highlight that are really important as well would be product analytical tools as well.
Okay.
So aside from mobile measurement partners, you need to also be able to understand your product because that's where you're able to see customer journeys, you're able to see where they're churning and all of that. So mixed panel amplitude comes to mind as well. I would also say for you, because again, I kind of work as a freelancer sometimes, so I'm
Right.
required to use UGC creators. There's a very cheap tool that creates AI UGC creators that
Really?
yeah, it's called Acad's AI. You will not even know that it's an AI that is
Please spell
speaking.
it. I have that problem currently. Please
Yeah,
spell the
so ARCAD, is it Acad, something like that. But if you Google it, you see it's expensive. It's about £100. But if you can get your boss to agree, you will not need any, you will not need to hire any influencer again. In fact, the
wow.
quality is so good, really good, right? That's also on that front. Uh, for people like us that also play with people that have websites, I like to look at
Is
sessions
it a
on
one-off
my
fee?
side.
Do you have to subscribe or is it a one-off fee?
You have to subscribe, my brother.
Oh my God, hundred
That's
pounds. That's
very
quite pricey.
fun.
It's a lot, but it's and it's monthly. Oh. But for that, these are for people that do heavy UGC creation. How much will it cost you to use an influencer?
I
That you
mean,
cannot, you can give it the script, you can tweak it, you can change the scene, you can have one sitting down on the chair, you can have it
mm,
working, you can change. You want a black person, you want a white person. It's really, really robust, right? So think about how much you spend if you ask for people that are like freelancers like me. So these are tools I have in my back pocket that I can always bring out when I want to like quickly test my campaigns because you pay an influencer, they do one video for you. If you come again, they will charge you. But this
mm-hmm.
one, you can test ideas, you can test hooks, you can go crazy, right? With a lot of stuff. That's on that. So I was talking about website analytics as well. So for me, I like to see sessions on my website. What are people dropping off? What are the things they're looking at? Because it helps you in my landing page optimization. So a particular
Mm-hmm.
tool that I like to use for that is called Microsoft Clarity. Now, what this tool does for me, I can watch your screen recording of everything you did on my website. So for instance, Timothy logs
That's
into
that's next
ebuka.com.
level.
I will see where he stopped, what he clicked on, where he
Mm-hmm.
spent time on, and it can help me to optimize, right? So what I now do is I look at patterns across this cohort. So maybe people are dropping off on my side. What is happening? Maybe I see that maybe I try to remember what they call it. But the first thing that they see above the fold, yeah. So above the fold, maybe it's not really conversing as well. Maybe the buttons are not coming up properly. Maybe they're not looking really good. These are insights that you can get. I can change the game for you in an instant. Right? Which other tool
Mm-hmm.
again? I know, of course, we know about generative AI. I prefer Claude to ChatGPT personally because it's just better for me generally. Which other one again? Um, I think that's about yes. How did I forget the most important one for a marketer? A CRM tool. You cannot function effectively if you don't have a CRM because you have to segment. For instance, I use customer IO. I was having a conversation with Timothy yesterday, and I told him how I use it, and he was so shocked. Customer IO helps me with insane with targets, and I'll tell you how. It's expensive. These tools are expensive. I believe that there
Mm-hmm.
are some of them that are kind of cheaper for where you're at as a marketer. So find alternatives. You can actually go on Google and search alternative to customer IO, and you will get cheaper options that work as well. So you will not see because the next thing I hear now is I cannot afford it. There are alternatives, right?
Right.
So look for one that works for you at your where you're at and use them. So for customer IO, what I used to do, right, I was telling Timothy, he was so sure because he also uses it and he didn't even know that was a functionality.
Mm-hmm.
So customer IO is a database for us such that it gathers everything from when you sign up until when you churn. So if we launch a new product now and I see that people are not really using it, I can create a segmentation, link
Mm-hmm.
it to my ad platform, and run
Mm-hmm.
aggressive marketing to that segment. For instance, I use Piggyvest as an example. Maybe you download Piggyvest and you don't use something as SafeLock, and I
Mm-hmm.
identify that you don't use SafeLock. I can create a segment of that individual and
Mm-hmm.
create specific ads. So I'm telling you in my ad that you've not used SafeLock, not trying to bamboozle them. Have you saved it? Have you used Piggyvest? No. Mr. Man, you've not used SafeLock. Use SafeLock to save your money, right? So you can be really, really specific that way when you use like certain tools like that. And then also it helps you to send your emails, do your drip campaigns, and everything
Mm-hmm.
along that line. So yeah, as a marketer, so there's something I always like to say. As a marketing professional, you're as good as your tools because these are
Right.
things that enable you to
Mm-hmm.
succeed. Yeah.
Right. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Does cost just out of curiosity, does customer IO and Netcore fall under the same category of tools? I mean, they're customer engagement tools, right? Technically.
Yeah.
Well,
Give or take.
I want to say something about Netscore. So again,
Yes,
Netscore person is
please.
there, no vex. I know if you try to pitch, if you try to pitch to me since I've been airing you, I'm sorry. But I would say that Netscore has a very, very nifty feature that I think is really good. For us, I've not
Yeah.
really seen the need for it. But if you want people to carry out an action in your app,
Mm-hmm.
am I selling Netscore's products? I don't want to do that. But anyway, let me just do it.
No, for the good
Anyway,
of all.
for the culture, yeah. So if people are in your app and you want to direct them to specific things, for instance, you launch a new product, nobody is going to check it out. Netscore is great at that
Mm,
because they see all those in-app onboarding, chef kiss,
mm-hmm.
I can't lie. Right. But right now, I'm not really sure I really need that. But if you are the kind of person that nobody using your product, you launch a new feature, nobody is going there, Netscore can use very smart pop-ups in your app that can help drive people to take action, which is really, really good. I can't lie. So yeah, but they're not the
Wow.
same. Customer AI and Netscore are not the same. I don't know if Netscore sends push notifications, but customer AI helps you put notification, general customer engagement. That's from
Mm,
customer AI perspective. But I don't know so much about what Netscore offers aside from that one. But yeah,
mm.
that's about it from at least from my own point of view.
Okay. All right. Well, I was asking because we're currently working on onboarding on it. So I was like, okay, let me get a sense of what is out there, what people are also using it for. But yeah, thank you so much for that. I mean, I picked up a couple of tools. I hope everybody did. Apps Flyer, Singular, Adjust, the arcade thing you mentioned. By the way, I'm going to be checking it out immediately after this call because I've been seeing the cost that people have been giving me, and I'm like, I just want to test your content, Neo. I'm not even sure that it will work. And you're billing me like this, but yeah, I mean, I'll check it out. It's quite pricey. Hopefully, I don't use my salary to pay for it eventually. But yeah, moving forward, thank you so much for everybody. I can see some pop-up questions here or some feedback and stuff. For everyone who's joining, we will definitely have a session for questions. So if you have any of the sort, just keep it on the back burner or drop it in the chat, and I'm sure we'll take it up at the right time, which is very soon, by the way. You guys, we've been talking for over an hour 20 minutes. I hope you guys know that it feels like 10 minutes, but yeah, it's been a long time. Okay, so moving forward, I want to ask around optimization, right? We've talked about how when things are not going as planned, of course, we need to first define what is as planned, right? And then identify what are the different levers all the way that affect it. But now, when things are going well, let's say you plan to spend, let's say $10,000 on something to get XYZ result, and just quarter into your budget, you have even exceeded what you thought you would achieve, and things are looking really good. Do you like what usually happens then? Is it just you just leave it as it is and then get the most you can, or is it are there situations whereby things happen like that and you realize that, oh, this is a hidden gem and I need to even pump in more into it? Or just generally, what does optimization look like when you realize that this is doing even way better than I planned it to do? I think Ebuka, you can go ahead this time around.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, you're talking about scaling. Am I right?
Yes, scaling, absolutely. Yes, that's what I
Okay.
meant. Yes.
Okay. So I don't know any sane CEO that will not bring out more money when things are working, right? From my
Mhm,
perspective. But I would say though that it's very important that you set some expectations that this could happen, that could happen, right?
mhm.
For me, it might sound weird, but I always optimize for failure sometimes. Why?
Oh wow.
Because you feel forward, not backward, as a professional marketer. How you want to now? This is I'll take it before I go to scaling perspective because now that you mentioned this one, now people start thinking, what if for me that I don't used to see results, all I now do? That's where I'm coming from this point as well,
Mhm,
right? So there's no such thing as a field campaign if you're a data-driven marketer,
mhm,
right? Because you're always going to be inside that will impact your next move. It's when you don't know what you're doing that you're not be looking for what next, right? So
mhm.
as a marketer, you need to understand that there are a lot of times that the campaigns will fail. In fact, if your campaign is succeeding a lot, you're a suspicious person. You have update that nobody does, right? So you must always understand that things can go terribly wrong, and things can go terribly right.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's say actually, because it's not terribly right, but can go positively, whatever, as the case may be. So there's something called stakeholder management that is very important for marketing people. You
Mm-hmm.
must always carry your stakeholders along, whatever decisions you're making, right? That's why sometimes you see that people will go online and go, for instance, I remember one time that one of these financial companies went to go and tweet nonsense, right, on the internet. That's the kind of thing that can happen when people are not really aligned. So you must carry your stakeholder along when it comes to decision making so that when things go bad, they understand that it's a learning phase. And when things go well, they are encouraged to give you more budget. So essentially, if you're spending somebody's money, you need to really get them to trust you, right? So from a scaling perspective, right, aside from the fact if something is going well and you say immediately that you're seeing opportunities to get 10x, 3x, 5x, whatever the case may be, I believe that in the most cases you will get funding for that.
Mm-hmm.
But how you again optimize for that is very important. So in your budgeting, you should have some leeway for scaling, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
tell your boss, we are trying to launch this campaign now. If we see XYZ, we would increase budget by X, right? So that when it happens, you're not shocking them, their accountants are not coming after you and saying, I can have money for you, right? Because it had been accounted for before the campaign started, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to look for, so let me just go a little bit into scaling, just touch it a little bit. So how then can you scale? I use meta campaigns as an example, right? So the thing that's for scaling I like to really look at when it comes to meta campaigns because for some reason I prefer to use meta as even Google, but meta as an advertising campaign for me has a lot more functionality when it comes to scaling. Google
Okay.
now is taking a lot of the control, like before. That's why I think things like performance marks, see things like campaigns where you cannot really tweak so much. But Meta now still gives you opportunity to tweak things. So for Meta, two things that I like to look at, or two perspectives I look at scaling from is vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So for vertical scaling, it means you are tweaking the budget intermittently. You can do
Mm-hmm.
this manually by saying, okay, I see, for instance, if we look at every 3 days, you're seeing good cost per result or anything, increase the budget by 20%, right? So that you still maintain being outside of learning phase and not really shocking your ad because some people are very greedy. Nigerians, my goodness, can be so greedy. You see something working and you want to maximize the life out of it. That can break your campaign, right? So for
Right.
instance, you are seeing a good cost per result, you're not going to increase it by 200% so that you cash out and do 30 December. I'm so sorry that might affect your general campaign and spoil things. So you
Right.
want to ensure that you're having an incremental uplift in your budget.
Mm-hmm.
For people that may not be able to know when this happens, you can use something called automated rules. So Meta Ads Manager has something called has a platform called a feature. I call it a feature, right? Called automated rules. You can set parameters and say when my cost per result is X, increase my budget by Y. If my cost per result drops, drop my budget by Z, right? That way you can sleep and be eating your cake and you know that your ads are naturally scaling the vertical way,
Mm-hmm. Right.
right? For horizontal side of things, yeah, you testing content because at the end of the day, no matter how sweet your content is, one day it will no longer work. Because there's something
Mm-hmm.
called app fatigue, something called fatigue in marketing where
Yeah.
your content stops to work, no matter how good it is. Right. So you must always prepare for that. So the horizontal way to do this is you've seen a particular, so it's still scaling, right? So before you get to that point where it's stopped, because again, as a marketer, I will never turn off an ad that is working. That one is on that on one hand. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying now is you've already seen one particular ad that is doing really well and you want to horizontally scale it. You create a replica of that ad, but change certain things about it. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, use the man this time. You use a woman and say the exact same thing that the guy said.
Mm-hmm.
No, you not tweak any, no tweaking of the script, just changing certain elements of it so that you maintain the quality of that ad,
Yeah.
right? And then you do it as the case may go, as it keeps as it keeps performing well, it keeps scaling. So these are two levers that you can pull as you know, you see your budgets go down, you see your cost per result go down, you vertically scale it. You see good content go up, you so like you just have to keep pulling these levers until the campaign is over. That's what I'll say
Yeah.
about scaling personally. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Timothy, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so it's a principle in performance marketing that you reward the platforms or the channels that actually give you better results. And by
Mm-hmm.
better results, performance marketers, the only results that matter to performance marketing is cost per. In fact, performance marketing live by the prefix cost. In fact, at heart, performance marketers are cost accountants, So I feel like they will do better at being accountants than being actual marketers. Because they're always like, we have installs, 200 installs. You're like, what was the cost per install, cost per
Right.
this, cost per that, cost per result, everything. So performance marketers should always, I feel like performance marketers should be friends with accountants, or finance team in in their department, because they speak the same language, sort of like we had
Like,
this and this was the cost. We reduced. Yes, my KPIs are always you need to reduce the cost per this by this percent. You need to reduce the cost per this by this percent. In fact, I've been reducing costs in January. Maybe we are going to get to zero at the end of the year. So
uh,
a performance marketer just just continues to reduce costs no matter what. Reduce the cost. You have reduced the cost to today. Reduce it further. Is there a way we can get it further? So, and that's the reason why it's called media buying. I think a lot of newbies don't really understand why they call advertising or they call marketing media buying is because you actually need to price it in the market and you need to be very good at pricing. So, we reward the platforms that actually give us the best results, and then we sort of take away from the channels that don't give us the best results. And all platforms actually have a limit when it comes to scaling. So when you're scaling, you need to understand that there is something called a sweet spot. A sweet spot means that at that point, if you increase the budget beyond that point, the campaign is going to suffer. So the campaign might start having like an increased cost per result once you increase it past a particular budget. Let's say you're spending like 2 million naira or like 4 million naira on a campaign per month, and it's able to give you like a number of install. When you increase it beyond 4 million naira, it might give you a higher install, but at what cost? The cost per install might probably be somewhere around 200 naira, cost per install. But once you take it beyond that particular budget, it start giving you like 300, 400. I've seen a campaign go times two the price just by increasing the result. So what that means is that the platform is telling you like this is how much budget I can accommodate at this time. This is how much people we think we have at this point in time. I saw a campaign where killed the campaign like because the campaign did well initially, test campaign did well, we just killed it like 200% straight up, and hoping for the best but expecting the worst, and the worst eventually happened. The campaign didn't do well. Cost per result became so high, and so we had to scale down the anything like that. So scaling has to be done strategically. It has to be done in such a way that it doesn't affect your costs, so that you don't see that you are spending almost the same amount of money, or you are spending the same amount of budget in a particular month, but you're getting the same result as you did in the last few months. So it has to be done very carefully, very strategic. I think that's where your expertise come in as a performance marketer. You need to be able to advise if this is a good time for you to scale. And scaling campaigns, there are different things that affect your campaigns to scale. There is the dollar rate. Dollar rate, all advertising usually priced in dollars. So as the dollar keeps rising in Nigeria, or I mean, right now our head is dropping. So if it's rising or if it's dropping, platforms adjust their rates around that. So even though you might maybe be seeing like a naira, um, you might be seeing like a naira, you might be seeing a naira front end. It doesn't mean that the back end is not really priced in dollars. So that also affects. Also, other things that might affect your campaigns and why you probably might not want to scale is the number of people running campaigns at that point in time. I mean, Timo ran campaigns this period, maybe from October to November, and everybody felt the cost in their results go high. So so you want to really take note of that while scaling. So you know that, oh, this is not the right time for me to scale, or maybe I should just hold on my campaigns a little bit and let the Temo madness die. So that's my bit.
okay, thank you, thank you.
There's
I think
something,
this.
something, something I want to add. Sorry,
Okay,
just before we
no
go.
problem. Go ahead.
Most of the time, people don't understand why the ads stop working, right? And I
Okay.
think it's something I want to talk about. I'll use this analogy. So you go for a wedding, right? And you as the advertiser, you're serving jollof rice. And you go for all these Yoruba weddings that if it's not amala, you're not eating. And it's rice you're serving. There will be a
Right.
couple of people that are in that wedding that will not mind that rice. But a time will come where uh, it's only people that want to eat amala that are available. And you're still selling
Mm-hmm.
rice. You carry that same rice to that audience, they will not buy. Doesn't mean people were buying your rice before, but you run out of that audience. That's the way advertising also works, right? There's a pool of people that are really interested in your stuff, and the more you spend, the more you get out of that pool. And then buttresses the point where Timothy was saying your costs can go up the more you get results. Because now, as a caterer, you have to go to another wedding with that rice to get all more people to buy that rice, right? So there's also something called platform scaling. So it's okay for you not to touch the budget or something that's working. In fact, there's a rule of thumb that if something is working, right, don't fix it.
Just leave it.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Don't touch it, leave it. So more often than not, I've replicated the results I've seen on a platform in another one, and it worked. Why? Because same people that are there, setting up also on that platform. So if something works here, it's very high chance to work there. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand when it's time for you to switch channels as well.
Got
Right?
it.
It's very important. So if something is working and you're not sure, especially when you're saying in niche products, because the moment you start to scale a niche product campaign, you start to spend more.
Right.
So start to imagine in fact, when something is working, the first thing that should come to your mind is where else can I get this kind of success?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That should be what should come to your mind first. Before even touching any, before spending anything more, before even increasing the budget, which other channels can I leverage while this one is still running? So in the process of you testing it, testing those channels, you're gonna start incrementally increasing the budget in that one so that you don't shock, you don't just go carry it up and then everything now crashes down on your head. Because before they say that in your office that he's lucky, you was lucky, that was why.
Oh God, I definitely can relate to that. I feel that in a way. Thank you. Yeah, I think some of the things you guys have mentioned is that there's a sweet spot, right? And everything after that spot can go to flames, right? So you need to identify at what
Yeah.
point, but more importantly, don't go from 0 to 100 just because things are looking good. Take that incremental step just to see at what point. That's when you can really identify that tipping point, right? When anything changes. And something Ebuka mentioned now, which I didn't even think about. You think about it, where it's like when we talk about scaling, we always think of more money, but there's the other part of more channels, like you said, right? More platforms, more placements, more of that, as opposed to just increasing it budget wise on a particular channel. So that's also very, very, very helpful. Thank you for sharing. We have like 25 minutes each left. So if anybody has questions, I think now is the time to actually ask your questions. We have so much to talk about. I doubt that we can run through everything, but we will obviously prioritize questions that you have. So if you do, please drop them in the chat. If you have a specific person you also want to answer your question, feel free to highlight that, and I'm sure we would be happy to take it. But moving forward, somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody mentioned something about Temu. So let's talk about it, right? Some people's marketing managers are doubting their competence now because they are seeing Temu and they are saying, why are we not here? Why are they not seeing us? And why are they not complaining about us? So you know what? Just open question, make sense of it. People are asking, certain people are asking, how are they able to do stuff like that? I know we understand how it works, right? So let's break it down a little so that some people have enough explanation to give their bosses that will make them not lose their jobs in the coming weeks. So that's just on the lighter note. Timothy, just give us a sense of what is going on, if you even have an idea, right? To the best of your knowledge, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there is an outflow of budget from Temu everywhere. So they are bringing in a budget that you can't compete with generally in
Mm,
the market, and coming in at the period where it's Black Friday and all of that. So just to bamboozle everybody. So They are probably, you can't see what's going on at their back end, but my guess is that they are having like high cost, very high cost actually, because basically they are combining, above the line and below the line. So they are using what we call through the line advertising. So their campaigns are mostly serving as awareness and serving as conversions at the same time. So their cost is generally high, but of course you never see that. The only thing you're going to see is Temu ads are everywhere. The
Mm,
marketing team is probably achieving awareness at best. And conversions, yes, they are achieving it. Top of mind, of course, they're getting it. But this just a very huge launching budget, just like when you're launching, and this is like a real hard launch. So
mm,
that's exactly what they're doing. They're just, but everybody is swayed like, oh my God, Temu is good. Oh, Temu is great. Oh, we're going to. Oh, everybody. I mean, on LinkedIn, everyone is speaking about Temu and all of that stuff. And even on Twitter, you find people having hot takes on Temu, but nobody sees what's going on at the dashboard. But I just feel like it just majorly to enter the market, and very good to actually make a lot of noise when you need to enter the market, so that you remain top of mind. I remember when Jumia came into the market some time ago, and Jumia just became top of mind because Jumia just consistently spent on advertising. I have maybe some inside knowledge on how much Jumia spent on advertising, probably in a month. So it's a lot of money, especially for an
mm,
e-commerce store. If you want to probably dig deep, you should go to the ads library, you should go to Google Ads Library, or you should go to Facebook Ads Library, and then you'll be able to see the number of ads that Temu has. Then you'll be surprised. I think they have the highest number of ads currently in Nigeria in Google Ads Library and Facebook Ads Library. Yeah, so bearing in mind that they are also an e-commerce store, so they're having like they're having what they call it, they're having collection ads and having what they call it now, the dynamic shopping ads. So it's a whole lot. And so retargeting is also automated. It's just automated. And I don't think they're running anything from Nigeria anyway. Just so that we can clear that. It's actually being run from the US. So
mm.
we can just so everybody can tell their boss that Temi is having their hard launch, and that their budget is way more than what some companies might spend in a whole year, or in 2 years, or in 10 years.
Got
So everybody just needs to focus. Yeah, everybody needs to just focus on their core audience and just keep doing their marketing as usual. I mean, Table might not be able to sustain it, who knows? But one thing that I know that they've been able to do is to have a lot of UGC, generate a lot of buzz. People talk about them,
mm,
and that's how they stay top of mind. They are not necessarily they are taking Jumia's colors. They are also like an e-commerce firm like Jumia also. So it's not really special from them. I find most of their products expensive. They are doing a whole lot of cart engineering. That's false advertising as well. So people having their cart of 1 point something million naira uncleared, thanks to the deceit. That card is going to remain uncleared for a very long time. So, so that's basically it for me.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Valid point. Ebuka.
Well, so I always like again to tell stories. So what I see Temu doing, right, is like when some men, when they see a lady that they like, they go all out, they spend,
It's
they
called love
buy
bombing.
both. They in fact, the lady will almost go crazy with love because it's like, this guy is my fridge, in my toilet, is everywhere. He's giving me
He
everything I
loves
want.
me.
He
He
loves me
loves
so
me.
much. But then the problem is, can you maintain that energy? Because if you're not maintaining that energy and you come strong like that, the moment you stop giving me hot like that, I mean, I'll give for the next person that'll give me hot. That's how like I'm looking at it. So
Right.
I think of late I've stopped seeing their ads. I don't know if it's just me, but
Really?
I no longer see them anymore anywhere. I used to see them everywhere, but for some reason, I think in the last couple of days I've stopped seeing their ads
Oh no, they are still exist on Facebook. So I think maybe they've toned it down a bit.
on other
They
channels.
said,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but it's on Facebook. I know they do this kind of collaborative art. I think I saw one today They do this kind
Yeah,
of
so
collaborative ads where they collaborate with some other they collaborate with some other pages, e-commerce pages actually. So they allow e-commerce stores, people who do like drop shipping and direct response ads, break down their ads into
Timothy, I think was it me? Did I hear? Ebuka, did you hear
yeah,
what they
yeah,
said
I think
for
I
the
lost
last
him for a
seconds?
while. I thought it was
okay,
my connection.
okay. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we
Okay,
can now.
yeah. So I was saying that what they did was that they still have a lot of ads, and it might have dropped because I've also the frequency of the ads I've also probably dropped. So,
Yes,
but they do this kind of collaborative ads with people who do drop shipping. Now I know like drop shipping sells like crack on Facebook. So they have collaborated with a lot of people doing drop shipping in Nigeria and have them list their products on the Temu's app. And so when Temu is carrying out campaigns, they just do the partnership. They just click the partnership button, and then they have those people, those pages and Temu in collaboration, and then the ads just go directly. So it's a win-win. But yes, definitely it's going to drop at some point. They're going to have to feast on what they have gathered because I mean people have the app, so that's a lot of user acquisition. So, but then I know that they are really heavy on emails. They are really heavy on push out notifications. So CRM is basically taking over from there. Trying to nurture customers or trying to nurture the customers that's been acquired and all of that stuff. So, but I mean, at some point, they're going to really slow down. I know that the initial budget that was slated for the campaign, for the opening campaign, it's a whole lot. I mean, it's a launch, so it's so much, but it's going to drop. It's going to drop to maybe somewhere around 50% or maybe like 25%. So, but definitely there's going to be a drop.
Yeah, also something that I think that they're doing as well, which I think is really good, and I think marketers can learn from is um, if you are in a kind of business that doesn't necessarily require somebody seeing your ad after they've converted, you should exclude them. Now, these are people that run marketing outside of Nigeria. If you're in Nigeria, you should not exclude anybody because word of mouth works here a lot. But if you're in a
yeah,
space where I worked with a UK company recently, such that the only thing the marketing team was doing from performance perspective was new acquisitions. So if you install Temu app, you stop seeing the ads. They no longer need you. So that can also come
So,
from a point of that can also help safeguard your cost.
mm-hmm.
Because remember, if you're in the business of and it's very easy to exclude, to be honest. If you know your stuff, if you don't know how to exclude, just check. There are a lot of resources out there that can help you. But instead of wasting your ad funds on people that have seen it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody has seen your ad over and over again and they are not converting, or maybe they've
I
converted
think
before and
it
you need to convert again.
it's automated on the platforms. I mean, on
Yeah, it's
Google
automated.
and
It's automated. Yeah.
Facebook. So
Yeah,
the moment you feed it with information of your custom audience, I mean, that's like a no-brainer now.
Mm-hmm.
Custom audience and lookalike audience. The moment you feed it with your custom audience, it just excludes people who are put them
Immediately.
in a category. Yeah, so it's totally automated. So if they stop saying Temu ad, probably because they've been acquired, they've downloaded the app or something, and so Temu is like, yeah, goodbye. CRM will take over from there. So hand it over to the next phase of the funnel and off you go. So you're going to probably be getting more of those push up notifications telling you like you have 500,000, you have 1 million naira to shop and all of that stuff. So yeah, interesting times actually.
Yeah. So that was wanted to add as well. So again, if you are in Nigeria, do not follow this advice because more often than not, I've seen people share ads to people that need them. So because somebody has been acquired on your side, does not in this part of the world though, does not necessarily mean that you should remove them from your marketing. Right. But you have to do it if your frequencies are going really, really up, you need to check that as well because frequency is how many times somebody is seeing your ad and not taking any action. So if your frequencies are entering like 3, 4, it means that you're already maxing out and you should start to exclude. Right. So essentially just knowing when to carry out pull certain levers in your advertising relations that really make the difference. But again, if you're an abroad company, most of them will tell you that those are budget for your marketing. let other departments, because they have units that are built for certain aspects of this business, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, just find out what works for you and just pursue it essentially. But if your boss is whining you about him, asking to give you more money, that's my own.
End of story.
That's very correct.
Oh
That's
my
very
god.
correct.
Valid. Even though, like Timothy mentioned earlier, their budget for this 1 month or 2 months duration is probably some people's budget for 10 years. But who are we
Not
to
even
judge?
budget, not budget, revenue.
Oh, ooh, another angle.
No, it's not like you don't understand that it's somebody's entire business's revenue that is submitted to TechCrunch to say that I'm profitable as a business. So somebody using it for marketing. That's
Oh
deep.
my god.
That's very deep.
God. God. Now, when you put it like that, it now sounds more depressing. But yeah, it is well. That's all I would say. Okay, so we have one question here. I think this is for Ebuka because he was one who referenced customer.io. Somebody is asking that can MailChimp work in place of customer.io?
I've used MailChimp before, and while I think it's a great tool, it's not great for not great as a CRM tool. MailChimp is
Mm-hmm.
great for emails. If you want to send email, very good. But a CRM tool must be able to fill two criteria. Can it collect accurate data,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it has to be able to like connect with your backend and your data sources. Maybe you have to do some SQL and Python pulling to like ensure that data is flowing in without any restrictions. And
Yeah.
can it build a drip campaign to ensure that people that will help you onboarding, help you to upsell, help you to do maybe certain things, right? So if your CRM cannot do data collection, not so much of data analysis, because to be honest, there's just so much these tools can do, but
Right.
customer engagement, can you do push notifications? Can they send SMS? Now that's where things get start to get really interesting, right? So
Yeah.
instead of having one tool to send an email, I think we should optimize for a CRM that can a one-stop solution to customer engagement, pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think just layer on top of that, it also depends on the type of business, right? I think certain business it depends on the size. So if it's a very small business, there are certain people that emails probably are the only channels I'm saying that they use to engage with customers. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. I think comparing both of them, they are on different wavelengths entirely. Like Ebuka
No,
said,
no, sorry, so that you don't get me
okay,
wrong.
okay,
I said before, if you cannot afford, I knew that somebody was going to say this thing that I cannot afford it, and that's fine. They are expensive tools.
right,
However, there are alternatives that can still. HubSpot is free. HubSpot is pretty much free until you get to a certain threshold. I use HubSpot. I think when I first joined tech, the company that I work, we still use HubSpot till today. Although it's
yeah,
more B2B, it's more B2B facing, but it works. And you have to find out what works. You have to be very smart, because if you say, "Oh, because I don't have this thing, I'll not do it," at the end of the day, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So
mm-hmm,
they are expensive tools, but then there are companies that have dedicated their lives work to ensuring that people can also afford them. So they
yeah.
built alternatives. Your job as a
Absolutely.
marketer is to find them, see how you can integrate them, then fight the engineering team, because they tell you they're working on something that probably doesn't exist yet, and get them to integrate that thing for you and use it to do your marketing properly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. HubSpot is a very good tool. I also used it sometime in the past and it was amazing as a CRM tool. Okay, so we have like few minutes left. I want to touch on something that is not on our, but it's with this we're in December, right? The new year is coming. We have the whole talks around budget and stuff. So what I want to touch on very quickly before we go is just what are certain like foundational principles or guiding factors, I don't know, that we use to define that we use to plan for the coming year budget wise, right? Especially with regards to like your performance marketing efforts and stuff like that. So Timothy, do you want to share any helpful tips for people who are maybe trying to work on their budget for the coming year and just need guide in that regard?
Okay, so for performance marketers, basically, I would say that just stick to the basics. The basics being that you're a cost accountant. Number two, reward the platforms that give you better results. Number three, try to move between different stages of the funnel. If you see one stage of the funnel is very expensive, but it's not giving you the results you want, move to the other stage of the funnel. Just move back and forth within the funnel. Try to optimize within the funnel. Number four, try to get creative with your creative. As a performance marketer, you're not just somebody who is interested in numbers. You are also a creative strategist. Unfortunately, you thought that you are going to do only numbers. You're not just doing only numbers. You are also a creative strategist because you tell your graphics designers what to do. You have to tell, everybody around you, your copywriter, what to write. You can as well even give them exactly, give them a sample. So yeah, creative strategies at heart, and that's something you must accept. Then I don't know. I think we're in number five now. Number five. Sometimes your campaigns are not working because you don't have enough brand equity. So like e-commerce guys, they look for what they call winning products. What they call drop shipping people look for what they call winning products. So they try different products and find out, oh, this product is more in demand, and then they start running the ads. And that's why when they run the ad, they don't run awareness campaigns. They run direct response. Direct response means conversion campaigns, shooting conversion campaigns. And that's why, on Jumia and other e-commerce platforms, they'll have like sections or products that usually just sell out. And those are their hot products, right? You just like you go to a fast food and they also have like food that sell out no matter what. So those are called winning products. They don't need any awareness. It's like being jollof rice. They don't need any awareness. Now, you should not put that principle in your marketing if you're doing like if you're working in a company, like let's say that it's a tech, or let's say that it's in in different sections and all of that. You shouldn't use that principle and just say, oh, we're just going to run performance campaigns. You're probably going to fail at it. You're probably going to get high cost high cost per install or high cost per user. That's what you're going to get. But if you would lean a little bit on the branding side, ensure that you get your branding accurate, just so that your performance marketing campaign bangs. That would be very, very insightful. I think about a year ago, a few years, yeah, about a year ago, a year and I think maybe like last year, October, November, I did a training at Dynamo for for an agency there. I was telling them about how to move from brand noise to brand recognition, and I was telling them how many impressions it takes for people to recognize your brand. Talk less of now installing your app. So sometimes people come in from the branding side and like, oh, we want to have a consistent color, we want to have a consistent this, we want to have a consistent that. But if you're having your consistent color, but it's not hitting consistent people, you're not going to get results. People are not going to see your ads the first time and then install your app or probably buy your product or probably patronize your business. They need to see over and over again. You need to show up over and over again such that you are first in mind. The difference between being first in mind and first on the shelf, you can go to Google and be number one there when you check the App Store. But if you're not the first in mind, there is no way they're going to look for you when they get to go to Google. They look when people go to Google App Store, they go to look for a particular app that probably is first in their mind, not the first on the store. So you are probably going to be an alternative. So as performance marketers, you should also work with your branding team, ensuring that you guys are having consistent look and feel, but not just consistent look and feel, but your messaging should also be consistent. People should know you for something. And when people know you for something, ensure that you are hitting the same people, you are carrying that messaging to the same people over and over again, so that you polarize their mind. You polarize their mind in such a way that they only think of you when they think of that particular product category. So, for example, Moniepoint now has like a distinct branding, distinct branding. Moniepoint, when you pay with the Moniepoint, when you pay with the Moniepoint POS, like with the POS machine, you just hear the sound and you just know that the money is in. You just hear the beep sound, like the long beep sound. I just know that's consistent over time. People just know that when you hear that sound, you know that your money is probably gone. So that would also help with your performance campaign. They just know that okay, this would sound. Just imagine, putting that, in a campaign and all that. People already know. People already recognize this. People already can tell that this is your branding and all of that. So it's very easy for you to carry out performance marketing campaigns. So performance marketing campaigns looking into the new year, is some kind of like a cleanup. You should use your performance marketing campaigns to clean up or to mop up the customers that your branding campaigns have already probably gone ahead of you. Performance marketing campaigns should not come and spearhead your marketing totally. You should probably mop up. You should get into the places that the branding could not get into, but you can't just go ahead and then say that you're using it as your major, major, major marketing. You're probably going to be having a very high cost per result, and you'll be wondering why. So
Mm.
that's my tip into the new year.
Yeah, very, very valid. See it as a complementary thing as opposed to something that is exclusive of every other thing that is going on. And I think you said something around hitting consistent people with the same messaging, right? With consistent messaging, consistent look and feel, every other thing, right? But just ensuring that
Yeah,
it's the same because you can't reach everybody in the world. I mean, if you hopefully have the most budget, then I mean you have a higher chance. But yeah, God win. Ebuka.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so when you asked that question, I was taking some notes. So I don't, you can't see my face again, have you?
yes,
Mm, off and on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to take some notes so that I will not miss any points. I don't
Okay.
have just three to be very honest, and they are kind of straightforward, right? So the first one is you should work with a marketing plan, right, for the next year. Most people
Mm-hmm.
don't have that, and I know I'm listening and I'm judging. Most of you don't have a plan for next year, and I think you should, right? And
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really know what will happen next year, there's one thing that is always going to be consistent, right? Which is holidays,
Right.
celebrations as well, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what will trend next year. Maybe one new platform will come and shake the market, but we will always know that there's going to be Workers' Day, there's going to be Children's Day. So if your brand can tie or your brand relates to some of these celebrations, you
Yeah.
start planning for them right now, right? Who are you going to be using to tell these stories? Are you using an influencer? Who are you going to be using? Right, right. Make all the notes down and project. Right,
Mm-hmm.
share those projections with your stakeholder. Let them know this is what you are trying to do next year. This is, for instance, maybe you are a children's wear brand. This is so anything along that line that your business ties into. Very rapid fire. The second thing is before, I was of the opinion that performance marketing takes 70% of the budget, while branding takes 30. Why? Because I'm a numbers person. I don't like to hear storytelling before. If it's not making money, it's not making sense to me. But things are changing now, right? I said something
Mm-hmm.
about storytelling before, driving
Yeah.
a lot of conversations right now. I'll give you an example, right? The marketing manager at New Balance, um, he before he was brought in, that was a while ago before they got able to get people to buy their shoes, like the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have enough brand equity. So the marketing manager told him, you know what, give me 18 months, let me do only branding. And if it does not work, we'll do the performance marketing. That was a
Mm-hmm.
bold bet because the job was on the line. And branding worked so much for him such that he was able to get a lot of sales without even running ads. Right. So the thing about branding that is very there's noise in somebody's background. I don't know if it's just me. But yeah, the thing about branding, right, is that um, um, when you have a strong brand, you spend
Mm-hmm.
less on marketing because you don't have to talk too much.
Yeah.
You also make your sales teams work easier because it's not who are you, it's what do you have.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you and what do you have are two very interesting questions. If somebody asking who you are, that one is worse than what do you have. What do you have means I know who you are. So what can you offer me that works for my use case right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the only way you can achieve that is when you focus on brand. So I would say do 70-30 like before or whatever. What I recommend for the coming year is do 60% brand and 40% performance to ensure that you're keeping the lights on because if you focus on branding and you're not making money, eventually you run out of cash flow. So you want to ensure that your business is still profitable to an extent while you
Mm-hmm.
move more of the budget to branding. So from a brand perspective, storytelling, doing maybe going to digital publications, just being out there and enough for it to be noticed. I'm not
Right.
saying go crazy like Temu, but be yeah, and how this is how you can make it cheaper for yourself. You should have ideally you should have one customer avatar per time. So if you have one customer avatar, it may help you to laser focus on who am I going to be using to reach out to this person that resonates with them.
Mm-hmm.
That helps you to do a lot. That helps you to do a lot less shotgun approach, so that I just praying and praying. So if you know that this is the avatar I'm focusing on, right? It helps you
Mm-hmm.
to spend more effectively from a brand perspective, right? Because you know who the leaders in these spaces are. You know what makes them tick, so you can focus your energy on those people and be very, very laser focused on what works, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the final one I'm also highlighting right now is, to be honest, nobody knows what how next year would look, to be very, very honest. But just look at
Mm-hmm.
what you spent this year and just make it 2x or 3x of it. If you are lost and you don't know what to do, I think that's like a good place to start. So just
Mm-hmm.
2x, 3x what you spend this year and then see how you can, do more with less. Pretty much. That's what I have.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love how you went from 70% performance and 30% brand to 60%. It went like this, and I'm sure the branding people are happy to hear that you've converted. Um, okay. Thank you so much for sharing. We are way past our time, but I want to give everyone the opportunity to just round up and say anything that you probably wanted to say earlier, maybe missed, or just anything to wrap up everything we've been saying so far. Um, Anyone can go first. Ebuka, since you spoke last, you can just continue from there.
Okay.
And just go to
I don't have any last words as much. What I'll just say is track the data, follow the data, track the data, understand the data, and be obsessed with data, to be honest. Because there's one thing I always say, every other person, I mean, God we trust, every other person bring your data. If you are telling me
mm-hmm,
that I feel like, you know, I don't care about how you feel, because feelings can be sentimental, right? So
mm-hmm.
do a lot less with your feelings and follow data pretty much in this new year.
Absolutely. Thank you. I agree. I agree with that.
But
Timothy.
I'm sorry, but I would say though that there are times when you might not have data and you have to trust your hunch as a marketer. Trust your gut and be ready to stand by it if anything goes wrong. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
caveat to that I just said. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Tim.
So final words. I mean, I think it's I think it's a cliche to tell marketers now to trust data or to be focused on the numbers because that's exactly what put the lights on or keeps the light on. So there is that. Then secondly, I think that marketers should test a lot of things, test as much as possible. When I say testing, your the company you're working for might probably not have the budget to do a lot of A/B testing, but I think that there are little things you can test. You can test creatives, and then you can always shut down the creatives that are not doing well. I think that's the easiest form of optimization. And then you can often test different marketing, different stages of the funnel. So test this particular stage of the funnel, take the next stage, see which one is giving you results. You can shut down one stage of the funnel if it's not giving you that much results. So always just test different things, carry out different tests. And by the time you test in the next 6 months, you probably will have a lot of insights into that particular product you're working with, and know you will know the market. You not just have insights into the product, but you also know the market, know how people are interacting, know the best way to get to people who are trying to probably use the product.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just don't, I guess, don't. The point is that don't assume anything is what it is just for the sake of it, right? Try to do some form of experimentations and take learnings from it, and of course, take that into whatever you do next. This was very, very insightful. Even, I mean, for me, for everybody who I'm sure has joined here at any point in time. Just in about 2 minutes, I'll try to do like a quick rundown of everything I've taken down and everything I took note of, and will be applying in my work. And I hope everyone else here would be doing the same. I think when we started off, Ebuka talked to us about the Q5, which some of us did not realize existed. The period from the 27th to like the first, second week of January, where you can do so much, especially because a lot of advertising would have maybe reduced at the time. And some specific businesses that work around like the transformational side of things can take advantage of it and sort of push offers and promos and stuff that they have going on at the time. We also talked a bit around how you do not have to give an offer if you do not have the bandwidth to, I mean, sustain that offer, right? And that just goes to say that before anything is done, especially even within this Black Friday period, you need to have planned for things ahead of time and maybe even push things a little bit forward before everybody jumps on the bandwagon and everything becomes very expensive. We also talked about how discounts are a very, very lazy way to do marketing during this time. I think Timothy gave so many examples. Ebuka did the same. We've all shared insights, and I'm sure we can apply this one way or the other to our business, whether e-commerce, tech products, or anything in between. We also talked about how brand and performance marketing should work hand in hand as opposed to being like mutually exclusive, because the idea is that more people knowing about you means that you have better chances of those people, buying your product or downloading your app, or depending on what your objective or goal is at that point in time. I think that's about it. This was very insightful. I can see Dara here. Hello, Dara. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Victoria. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Hi, Ebuka. Hi, Timothy. Good afternoon. I think it's been very, very much interesting just listening to everyone speak. I think I've basically been taking a lot of notes. I am privileged to be able to, work with Timothy, and also have had a couple of interactions with Ebuka, and it's very good to have top guys within the industry, being able to share their knowledge and just help every other person to be able to get one or two things. Especially people that are, I know there are some people that would definitely not even started thinking about their end of the year campaign. If you are one of them, please, this is your cue to actually, get things moving. And if you're probably thinking about, you have started probably you've launched your campaign, right? And I hope this session could have has helped you to be able to know one or two things to add, one or two things to do better, one or two things to include in your campaign to ensure that you're able to drive amazing results. And it's been very good listening to everyone. Victoria has done a super amazing job just engaging the speakers and being able to have a photo conversation. I've been following. I don't think I've gotten lost in any point of the way. Thank you very much, Victoria, for your super work in moderating the whole session. Yeah, and thank you guys. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Ebuka. I was just joking that Ebuka is one of the few people in Nigeria that actually has 100% confidence in his network, because he joined the live session in transit, and I was like, okay, this is the first time ever. And at no point did this his network maybe trip up and we could not hear him and all.
I'm using Glow, by the way. Special shout out to Glow.
Are you
Shout out to
serious?
Glow. I use Glow.
Wow.
You guys go.
Trust me.
I like the fact that you people have left Glow alone. That's giving us the time to enjoy it. So nobody should come. Just leave us like that. I use Glow and I enjoy
Do
it.
they have an office in Lagos? We go have an
I
office
cannot.
in Lagos.
I cannot deny or accept that.
I mean, you are doing something for them and they're giving you superior network.
Again, I cannot deny or accept that.
Yeah, well, at least delivered this particular session, and so we are grateful for that. So thank you guys, thank you so much. And if you have probably followed us, and you've been watching, I hope this has been good for you. I'm confident it has actually been good. I think it has been a very good learning experience. It has, for me, I've actually learned a lot, and trust me, I think there are a couple of things that I'm going to definitely be implementing, and I hope you are going to be implementing too. So you can just basically just drop a note, right? Drop a note for the guys so that everyone can know that, hey, we actually have learned something, right? If you have something that you have learned, please drop a note for the guys in the comments on YouTube. You can just drop a note and tell us that, oh, this is what you've learned. This is things that you're looking forward to doing. These are things that you'll be implementing going forward, right? And so, well, just wanted to, as I've said, thank you very much, Ebuka. Thank you, Ebuka. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Victoria, for your amazing work once again. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And if you're probably wondering what exactly this is about, this particular webinar is brought to you by GrowthHackers Africa. GrowthHackers Africa is a community of growth operators within early stage and growth stage companies across Africa. And what we do largely is to foster conversations like this in terms of being able to share practical knowledge, practical insight, practical tips and strategies on what's actually working, especially within tech marketing and growth management within Africa, right? And we've been able to, this is a proof of that in bringing top guys that work with companies like Moniepoint, guys that work with companies like Piggyverse, guys that have been able to have cross-functional expertise across multiple regions and also multiple disciplines within marketing, right? And I'm confident that for these sessions going forward, you'll want to join us. So if you want to join us, you'll be able to get the link in the comment section, right? On YouTube, you can basically just bit.ly/sign up to GHA. So bit.ly/sign up to GHA. You can basically just join the community, and you'll be able to get much more of this in big style, much more of this in big style. This is what we do almost every single time. And as our culture, we had one session last month which was focused on on social media, like harnessing the power of social media to be able to drive growth for your company. We're having this session which is we've had this session which is the end of the year campaign, being able to set up the end of the year campaign for success. Next week we're also going to be having another session which is going to be based on mastering advanced SEO. So if you are someone who either you have started search engine optimization, you started leveraging search engine optimization in your company, or you are looking to leverage search engine optimization for your company, right? Next week is going to be an amazing time. We're going to be learning about how to do advanced stuff with SEO, right? One of the things that we're going to even be doubling down on is something that is called generative engine optimization, right? Which is being able to optimize your own content to be able to appear in search engines like ChatGPT and the rest of them, right? So you definitely don't want to miss those sessions. You don't want to miss that particular session. It's coming up next week, December 14th by 4 p.m. also. Saturday, December 14th by 4 p.m. It will be good to be able to have us together and also for you to be able to join the session. Once again, if you are interested in joining GrowthHackers Africa, you can just basically type in the link in that is showing on your screen right now, the bit.ly/sign up to GHA, and you'll be able to fill in the form, and we'll reach out to you as regards that. So thank you once again, guys, for joining. It's been an amazing learning for everyone. Thank you once again for being a part of this, and for every GrowthHackers Africa's community members, you can just shout out to you guys. Thank you for pulling through. Thank you for coming through. We look forward to having much more of this. Well, till next time, do enjoy the rest of your evening and ensure you set up your campaign for success and keep winning. Thank you.